Hi, my name is First Lieutenant Isaiah Carlton. I am a CH-47 Foxtrot pilot with the Florida Army National Guard, and I am a first officer at SkyWest Airlines on a CRJ. My Army career started off as a cadet in the Army ROTC program at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I started my aviation enthusiasm and love for aviation at a very young age. My mother used to take me to air shows, and I lived next to Andrews Air Force Base when I Joint Base Andrews now, but then Andrews Air Force Base as a child. And I was able to see a lot of airplanes and a lot of helicopters going in and out of airfield throughout air shows and throughout my whole life. So that's what put the aviation bug in me my whole life since I can remember. I've loved aviation. I wanted to be a military pilot, so having the opportunity to be an Army aviator with the Florida Army National Guard is a lifetime dream of mine that I'm fulfilling. I was able to start off my aviation career at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where I was in aeronautical science. As an aeronautical science degree major, I was in a flight program where I flew to Cessna 172. I became a private pilot for airplanes, and then I had my instrument rating added on to that. And that's where the Florida Army National Guard accepted me into their, from their flight board into their prospective flight school candidates. So I went into the aeronautical degree program, so that's a degree for aeronautics for Embry-Riddle, and ended up going to flight school at U.S. Army Fort Rucker. There at flight school, I learned how to fly the Lakota. I learned how to fly the Chinook as well. So Lakota's a LUH-72 Alpha and a CH-47F. And that's where I had my most challenging time in flight school, was in the CH-47F course. It was very fun and very exciting, but because of the differences in airplanes and traditional helicopters, the CH-47 had its complexities that we had to conquer and had to learn about, and ended up doing just that. And it was a blast. I had a great time, and I loved every bit of it. So my experience at Embry-Riddle as a private pilot really helped out when I was at Fort Rucker. It helped out because I was already familiar with the National Airspace System. I was familiar with how aircraft work. I was familiar with radio communications and aerodynamics and things of that nature. So I only had to learn the helicopter twist on things when it came to the academic portion and the practical portion and the hands-on type of situations I had to deal with at Fort Rucker. As a Lakota pilot in Fort Rucker in a training airframe there, I was able to incorporate a lot of the techniques that I learned in as a private pilot on a fixed wing side. Like speaking on radios, for instance, is a very daunting task for a lot of people. Once you're already a pilot, it's not such a daunting task. So that time spent in the air talking on radios, I can spend doing more hands-on flight training, which both my stick partner and I, we call them stick buddies in flight school. We both were fixed-wing pilots, so our instructor loved the fact that we already had that prior knowledge, and that allowed us to go out there and we were able to train a lot better for the helicopter side, which made us both better helicopter pilots. Filling these two roles go without their challenges. As an airline pilot and a detachment commander for CH-47 unit, I also have my requirements as a pilot. I have my requirements as a commander, and I have my requirements as an airline pilot. My schedule between the two is very complex and is very involving. There's days that I have to go in between jobs on short notice, that it requires a lot of things to be done. But the biggest thing that needs to be done is planning. Planning plays a major role in the success for everything that I do as a Florida Army aviator, detachment commander, and a first officer for SkyWest Airlines. Sometimes I have to plan days in advance. Sometimes I have to plan weeks in advance for certain things that are supposed to be done, certain events that are supposed to be accomplished in the coming time. But that doesn't go without its reward. So the reward for doing both of these is I get to fly incredible aircraft for the U.S. Army. I get to serve as an Army aviator. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's something that's held of great value by everyone that's involved with doing this job here. And we have a great mission set as CH-47 pilots. So with that being said, the best reward is the fact that I just came back from Greece last week. And now I'm here, and then I go back to work with the airlines next week. So that's that's the kind of thing that everybody should look forward to, is the ability to travel, the ability to have that freedom of going around the country. Within a week span, I can be from one coast to the other. I can be back here to Jacksonville, and then after that I can be somewhere up north, or I could be in Greece or somewhere else in a very exotic destination. So it doesn't go without its reward, and it also doesn't go without its challenges. As a Florida Army aviator, I have certain minimums that are required of me to fly for each semi-annual and annual period. There's an outline of that in our Army regulations, but the biggest thing is that it's equivalent to what the active duty components have to fly for their flight minimum as well. So active duty flies about 45 hours in the Chinook, and so do we, for example. As a SkyWest Airline pilot, we have a schedule that ranges. My schedule normally fluctuates around the 80 to 90 hours per, and that's block hours, which is us actually flying the aircraft. So from the time that we push back from the gate to the time that we pull up to the gate is how much time that is logged for us. And that's about 80 hours a month, which is a pretty full schedule. 90 hours, some people do. If you're getting close to 100, that's the maximum that we can fly each month for the FAA. Balancing my civilian and military career simultaneously requires, again, a lot of planning. So planning is a crucial element. Time is very valuable. So planning out your days in advance, planning out time with family, making sure that you're going to be available, and make sure that you're disciplined enough to stick to a schedule allows for greater time to be provided for family, friends, and other loved ones. It's all about making the time and finding the time. Because there is I do have a lot of white space when it comes to time off between the airline separately and the Army separately. But when you mix those together, there's not a lot of white space in between the two jobs. So making sure that you plan out a schedule, stay disciplined, and make that time or create that time, but just don't waste the time. My favorite part about being a Chinook pilot is the mission set and how versatile the mission is, and providing a service to our customers safely and efficiently. And that's the same thing across the board for the SkyWest job as well as a first officer. Our number one priority is safety here in aviation. And it's a pleasure to be able to satisfy our customers by being timely, by providing the services that they expect as well. In the Chinook world, we respond to a lot of different scenarios. It can be natural disasters such as hurricanes, it can be fires, tornadoes that strike not only here in Florida, but in the surrounding states as well, and the whole country and surrounding countries. So being able to have that response capability, being able to transport troops, being part of the world's largest military has been a great experience here in the Florida Army National Guard. And it's been a pleasure to be able to serve my country and serve my fellow soldiers as being a commissioned officer in the Florida Army National Guard. Aviators who go to Fort Rucker need to be first and foremost excited about the opportunity to be able to be an Army aviator and to be able to be faced with the opportunity of facing the challenges that come with being an Army aviator, because all the challenges are exciting and they are worthwhile. If you like what you just saw, hit the like button, or if you have a question, leave a comment in the comment section below and follow. We appreciate you guys for watching.